So today I am driving to a beautiful spot in North Wales, a place that I've never been to before, but on the route it's really stunningly beautiful. We're right on the coast here, and I've been listening on my very long journey to a book by Paul Smith all about stories, and one of the challenges that it sets is to consider why actually is it that your company exists, and what's the story, what's your personal story in terms of why you work for the company that you work for. And it got me thinking and reflecting and realising that although I love travelling to amazing places and I love speaking to really interesting groups of people, in the next couple of days we're working with leaders from all around Wales, and it's a really great opportunity to hear on the ground what their challenges are and how neuroscience and behavioural science can actually impact the work that they're doing. But what actually really I realised was that it probably goes back to my mum in terms of what really drives me to share what we do. And that's because in her working life she would always work with children that were kicked out of school for various reasons, typically behavioural reasons, and she'd work in a special unit where the children often had many challenges. There would be times where she'd come home and she'd have stories where she'd be climbing onto the roof to rescue children that were running away, or running out down into the town to try and bring them back, or avoiding having her hand stabbed with compasses, which they obviously removed. So a really challenging environment. And one thing that I noticed that she and her colleagues had in common was they were all so dedicated to these children. They desperately knew that they could make an impact in these children's lives. And that small window of opportunity that they had could have a profound impact on the rest of their lives. And often they were really challenged in the environment that they were working with. They didn't feel supported by their managers. They didn't feel that the setup enabled them to do their best work, and they felt that it was tough, but they really wanted to do it nonetheless. But many of them were going off with sickness. I think it was something like 50% sickness rates in her sector, and I just felt so much frustration that, look, to the management, you've got people that are so keen, so willing, so dedicated, and yet they're coming home and they are so stressed and exhausted and challenged, and that could be better. That there are lots of things that the management were doing that didn't make sense, that we know from neuroscience and from other disciplines that this is just not the best way of working with people. So I think that's a big part of my drive, in that there are many individuals out there that have got families, have got friends, that they're part of a community, and they could be better managed. Their working life could be better so that they're enabled to do what they do. They're free to do what they do without the negative impact that sometimes the organisation is having. So I think it's great. I love Paul Smith's work, his stories, his books about telling stories. So it definitely got me thinking around, what is it, why, if we trace it back, why is it that we do the things that we do? And for me personally, I think that's a big driver.